But hopefully we can get to a place down the road where, again, we're almost completely independent. ENF is one of many sources of funding. But yeah, we're definitely, for season 4, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, that'd be a much safer place for any organization, of course. But realistically, though, I mean, the Ethereum Foundation still funds Gitcoin, right? So I think,
yeah.
So how important then do you think it is that the ENF continues to fund projects like Pomelo, really, season after season, regardless of an initial return on investment, given the fact that you guys are a public good? And there are other projects like that, but I mean, you are a diehard public good. So how important is it to you then that the ENF, funds these kind of projects indefinitely?
Yeah, super important. I mean, we saw what happened the 3 years prior to the ENF joining the ecosystem. Things weren't getting funded. The ecosystem was drying up. Devs were leaving. So I think that continued funding from the ENF is super important.
So do you blend then the NFTs together at the blending portal, the same one as last season? Is that how it works?
That's right. Yeah. So to produce your rockets, first you have to blend a potion. And to blend a potion, you take your one grant collectible, 4 carbons. You can buy those on, I mentioned our Shopify store. If you want to try out our buy with credit card technology, shop.pomelo.io is one way you can buy it. Another way is right through Atomic Hub or at harvest.pomelo.io. You can buy them with EOS. I don't believe we've sold out yet. There's still some carbon and grant collectibles available for sale. Once you've got your 4 carbons and 1 grant collectible, you go to blend.gems.io. We've got also a great article we published on our Medium that kind of walks you through and how we have infographics and things like that. So check out our Medium. Pomelo Grants is our account on Medium, and find our NFT series if you really want to get in depth. But anyways, you produce rockets with your potion once a day. You go to harvest.pomelo.io. You'll be able to claim a rocket from your rocket potion. Every potion comes with 5 mana. So every time you claim a rocket, you burn 1 mana. Obviously, the more potions you have, the more rockets you can collect, the more likely you are that you're going to get the 5-of-a-kind full fuel tank rockets that you want. It's completely random. So every time I generate a rocket, it's going to be randomly how full is the tank, which design is it going to be. And then once you've got your set of rockets, again, you can blend them together to create your moon. And either it's going to be a common moon, a rare moon, or an ultra rare moon, depending on the combination you blend together.
And how many of the ultra rare moons are available, or is that top secret?
That's a good question. There is some math. I don't have the number in front of me, but I wonder if we have that somewhere.
Maybe
it's basically as many as you could, there's no limit, but there's a limit of how many rockets. 5-of-a-kind rocket. Yeah. So it's based on kind of the math there. It's 1/3. It's completely random of whether you get a full fuel tank or an empty fuel tank, but we've been keeping an eye. It's pretty much. 1/3 of them are full fuel tanks, and 1/3 of them are empty, and 1/3 of them are not, give or take a little bit. So depending on how the random number generation works out and all that sort of stuff. But it's I would say it would be relatively exclusive. I don't have a number though, unfortunately, to share.
No problem. Maybe you can send that to us afterwards and we can throw it on the screen.
Sure.
So Daniel, then tell me, how does one become an astronaut in this NFT world you've created?
Aha. So that's the next, actually, yeah, good thing you reminded me. So maybe you've collected a bunch of rockets trying to get that ultra rare moon. In the process of that, you're going to get some common moons too. You're going to maybe get some rare moons. Maybe you're going to get your ultra rare moon. you can take all of your common and rare moons. You can either blend 3 rare moons or 5 common moons, and you're going to get an astronaut token, which then can be unpacked to create a Pomelo astronaut NFT, which then you can set as your profile picture in Pomelo. So that's just another fun way to A, use up your extra common moons, and B, spice up your profile picture a little bit more with a unique Pomelo astronaut. So all of the Pomelo astronauts are going to be unique. We've been working with a design team to help us produce a wide variety of different Pomelo astronauts. So you shouldn't see 2 of the same Pomelo astronauts out there. On top of that, we've got other ways. We're supporting NFTs outside of the Pomelo collection. So the Boyd avatar, for example, if you've got one of those in your collection, again, you can go to harvest.pomelo.io. That's sort of our NFT collectible page for Pomelo. And as long as you have that NFT in your account that you have linked to your Pomelo account, you're allowed to set that as your profile picture. Wow.
Can you set any NFT as your profile picture, or does it have to be a Eden, Pomelo, or Boyd NFT?
It has to be an NFT that we support. So far, the ones that we support are Eden, all of the Pomelo NFTs, Boyd, and I believe that's it for now. But there may be others that we add support for in the future.
Super cool. Can't wait to start collecting those. I actually have started already. So we'll put some information in the description and the links of where people can go.
And we're trying to sort of live the Web3 values. It's kind of like bring, your collectibles don't only live in Pomelo. You can take them with you, and you can bring your collectibles from other places into Pomelo. So you can, for example, take your Pomelo NFTs into the Wombat Dungeon Master with you and mine in the Wombat Dungeon Master game. I'm looking forward to, as the ecosystem matures more, hopefully there'll be more and more opportunities for these NFTs to play with each other in different environments.
Yeah, absolutely. Gamification is really going to drive user engagement so much more and user growth. So, so exciting you guys are working on that. All right, so let's talk a bit. We touched on this earlier on the quid pro quo. Now, some of the community obviously fell foul of those rules at the last season. Quid pro quo meaning basically offering a reward or an incentive for someone to contribute. So I just wondered, and having been through the process myself, I have seen these are pretty good, but could you explain to the community what steps you've taken to kind of limit those mistakes that people might incidentally make or by accident?
Yeah, a couple of ways. One is just describing it in more plain language in a way that everyone can understand more clearly. We assumed, for example, that quid pro quo everyone understands. Depending on where you are in the world, maybe that's not such an obvious term. So just making sure we've described these rules in more plain language and making sure that they're displayed in an obvious place. So, these are rules that the grant owner has to adhere to. So when you're submitting your grant application, right there on the application form now, we have them kind of all spelled out in plain language. These are the things you cannot do. So that's hopefully just by making those rules more clear, we'll see what, obviously there's probably going to be still bad actors trying to break the rules, but at least we won't have the honest mistakes. Hopefully we won't have many people breaking the rules because they didn't know that rule existed. We've got a new wiki. You can find, we're linking to that on our, from Pomelo. Click the "How does it work" button. You'll go to our wiki, and again, we took a big effort on. We've hired some new writers on our team actually. So we've got some writers and technical editors who went through the whole wiki and rewrote it in nicer, easier to understand language, shortened some sections. We got the rules in short, summarized. Explain it like I'm 5 kind of thing. So the idea is just making it more prominent and easier to understand. And how do we stop it? Besides making it clear, if obviously we're not going to prevent the bad actors from breaking the rules, even though they know that they're breaking the rules. We're watching, but a lot of it is we're relying on the community, and the community has been great. Actually, we get there's a way you can write on the grant application, report a grant that you see breaking the rules. You can share it in any of our Pomelo public chats. You can email us at support@pomelo.io, or you can ping one of our team members like myself, on Telegram or Discord. And pretty much all of the grants that were disqualified, we had seen it ourselves, but we also had community members report them, and pretty much all of them, we had multiple reports from multiple independent community members. So it's just goes to show you that the community does really care. Like, they really want to see kind of the game played honorably. They want to see a fair, open playing field. They want to make sure that the grants that get funded are funded because the community legitimately believes they deserve to be funded, which is great to see. It's, the community is participating in sort of, we can almost think of it as a living organism that's keeping the public funds safe and directing them to the grants that deserve them. It's not just what the Pomelo team is doing; it's the participation from the community that makes it work. Both with, participate by donating to the legitimate grants, boost your trust bonus, report the bad things you see. All of these things go a huge way in helping, the defense mechanisms of Pomelo.
Yeah, absolutely. And if everyone's playing by the rules, and you can see a few bad actors not playing by the rules, it's very frustrating. So it's great to see you guys jumping on that straight away. So let me ask you this: so can I or anyone from my team for this season of Pomelo donate to our own grants? And if we can do that, how is that going to work, and why the change?
Yeah, mostly that was a clarification of our terms and conditions. We had a rule laid out in the terms and conditions that was pretty vague, that says don't donate to, you can't donate to your own grants. Wasn't very specific. We've got a lot of teams operating too. So does that mean that a team member can't donate to my grant? I can't donate to my own grant as the grant owner? And there's a bit of confusion there. Some people were taking it very seriously and saying, okay, the whole team, let's not donate to this grant. Let's play very kind of by the book, make sure we're not crossing any lines. Other teams, perhaps a little more loose with that. We would just not donate, the grant owner not donating to themselves. But as a result, there was, I guess a little bit of unfairness in terms of some teams limiting the amount of donations they would get to try to make sure they're adhering to that rule, and other teams not. That wasn't actually something we were enforcing. We're looking at, for example, who are the team members on this grant, and are any of them donating? Wasn't something that we would monitor in our civil defenses. So just to sort of even the playing field, we removed that rules from the terms and conditions. As far as I know, the UI currently still would prevent the grant creator. I think the donation button is still going to be grayed out for you to be able to donate to your own grant in particular, but there's nothing in our terms and conditions that should scare off your teammates from wanting to donate to your grant. Okay. So we're kind of just to eliminate that confusion. We just removed that rule from the terms and conditions. So
given that some teams in the community that have quite sizable workforces that are quite low paid, they're not necessarily developers, for example, I wonder, does this give them an unfair advantage, or does the limiting of the grants matching pool kind of make that a bit more equal?
Yeah, it's a good question. We're gonna have to monitor and see how this goes. It's still against the rules to fund, so if you have team members and they want to donate to the project, they should be donating their own funds to the project. If we see that there was essentially a symbol by somebody giving all the team members a pool of funds and saying, now I'll go donate to me, that's still against the rules.
How would you track that? Let's just say, for example, there's an organization, they have a lot of workers and they regularly pay those workers from their central account. How would you know the difference between a salary being paid or remuneration of some form and then that being used as a donation?
It's a complicated, so there depend multiple factors, and I wouldn't be able to go into details, but but essentially, we look at all kinds of different things like, the variety of donations. It's usually pretty obvious when you got like one account donating all these accounts, and they're all donating to one grant, and that's it. That's sometimes an easy, okay, we collapse those donations. Sometimes it's less obvious. So, and it's, it's a kind of case by case, depending on the grant. We look at all these different factors. The on-chain activity is just one of the things that we look at. And there's also, off-chain reports, things like that. So, if a team member says, hey, by the way, my employer is paying us all to donate to this grant, that's a possible way that we would catch something like that. But there's all kinds of different hints, and basically the team makes a judgment call based on how many of these hints we see and how likely is it that there's some civil going on. And we definitely err on the side of, we won't disqualify a grant unless we have hard proof that there was a malicious attack. But what we could do is we collapse, we'll say, okay, we're just going to count all of these donors as one person. And that's something that we've done on a few occasions for different grants.
It's a good way of doing it, because at least that way, the people who have donated, even if it is just one person, they haven't lost out on their donations, but they have paid a tax, right? They're going to be 10% tax on it anyway, so they would have been better off not trying to do the attack.
Right.
That's you have your incentives lined correctly, so that's good. So let's talk a little bit about the trust bonus then. So in season 2, I just wondered, and you said it wasn't taking up much. Do you know how many donors used the trust bonus? And would it be possible in the future for someone like me who did use the trust bonus, who thought it was really, really simple to use, by the way, and port and everything worked great. The only thing I thought it lacked was I would love to see what impact the trust bonus had on my donations, because then I could show the community, well, ask us, ask people at Bywire, we have a 50% better, a higher trust bonus, so pitch to us or whatever, and we'll put our donations into your project, and it has a bit more extra value. But it seems abstract at the moment, so I just wondered, could you help us clarify that? Sure.
I don't. Unfortunately, I wish I had some better numbers on how many people actually, but it was a very small percentage. I think we had it in. I don't have it in front of me, but if you read the retrospective from season 2, it was like a very small percentage of the overall donors who were using, like less than 10% probably. And then will we have a way to illustrate that? We're trying to improve the way we illustrate the impact. There is a little progress bar, so when you're boosting your trust bonus, you're going to be able to see, I can boost it up to this amount, and every time I add a bonus, you're going to see that your progress bar get bigger and bigger and bigger. The easiest way to explain what that impact does is basically every donation you've made throughout the season, you can apply that boost to that donation, and it's going to get matched. So let's say I donated $100 to a project, and I've got a 200% trust bonus. That means the quadratic algorithm is going to count that $100 donation as a $200 donation before applying the quadratic formula to it. So basically, you can add whatever you get your bonus up to. You can consider that all of your donations are valued at that higher amount, and that's powerful because, again, the more real people we have doing that, the real people get a larger share of the matching pool, and then the malicious attackers get eluded because they're not getting that extra boost to their donations. So it doesn't eliminate bad actors, but it just makes their value lower, and it brings up the value of the donations from those people who take the time to boost the trust bonus.
Very cool. So was there any, this is just a random question that just popped into my head. Were there any funds left unclaimed from season 1 or 2, or has everyone claimed all of the funds?
There still are some funds being claimed. Nothing, it's just, we have a contract that people can come and they just go through KYC and claim. There's not very much left. Season 1, I would say, is almost fully claimed. Season 2, still some progress to go, but again, the majority of it has been claimed. Heard from some grant owners that there's various reasons why you might want to delay in collecting your claim, like tax purposes, for example. Some grant owners said they don't want to claim their funds until they actually have something to show, some progress to show. And others just like to claim it right away. So there's there is still funds to be claimed, and different grant owners have different reasons for holding off on claiming. One of the reasons too is we have an opportunity to make it easier, like more obvious. I saw some feedback from some grant owners. They didn't even realize that they had to claim. And they're like, oh, wait a second, what? I never received my matching allocation. So, we try our best to let people know. We send you an email, come claim, but obviously not everyone checks their emails. So one thing that we can improve is perhaps, again, in the UI, like we're trying to do with Trust Bonus, give some kind of indicators in the UI that guides you to make sure you do it.
Just put a countdown clock and say this is how much time you have to claim your
right.
And I've watched you get 100% uptake on that. So could you tell us a little bit about the geographic breakdown then of both grantees and donors from season 2? Which geographical areas are performing best, and how do you see that panning out in season 3? Do you hope to see a growth in Asia or Europe, for example? Give us some numbers.
Yeah, so we made one of our big objectives in season 2 was growing the participation, in particular from the Asian community, because we saw that in season 1, by far the majority of the donations or the matching. But one way that we judge this is what's the matching pool allocation by region, and we saw that in season 1, by far the majority of the matching pool was going to North American grants, and we know that there's a big Asian community, and we were wondering why isn't there more money going to the Asian grants? So we made it a big part of our, so the new features that we launched in season 2 was a lot focused on that. For example, providing more login options for Chinese users. We added Weibo as a login option, which is one of the most popular social media platforms in China. So we had it was easy to log in with Google, with Apple, with all these Western social platforms. We didn't really have any native Chinese social platforms, and with the Great Firewall of China, there's kind of almost two different digital worlds. Chinese users are all kind of using the Chinese version of stuff, and the rest of the world is using the Western version of stuff. So Weibo, I think, and we saw in the survey results after season 2, a lot of people appreciate that, saying, thanks for adding Weibo as a login option. It was much easier for me to participate. And we made sure that all of our communications were translated more. So we added, language specific email communications. Instead of emailing everybody in English like we did in season 1, now we actually were keeping track of what's the language preference you're using to browse in, and we're sending our emails in that language as well. So those are two things that went pretty far, I believe, in getting more participation from the Asian community. And also, again, we've, on the customer support and promotion side of things, we added, I mentioned we had the pitch sessions earlier. So we've got, a dedicated Chinese community on WeChat. We do our pitch sessions in Chinese with them. We've got, some dedicated Asian team members who are kind of just taking care of our Chinese and Korean communities very well. And again, the results spoke for themselves. So we when you look at the breakdown of how the matching pool was split for season 2, we actually had more of the matching pool go to East Asia than we did in North America in season 2, by a little bit. We had 41 grants, $369,000 went to East Asian grants compared to $278,000 that went to North American grants. We had $162,000 go to European, $48,000 go to Latin America. So that breakdown was much more in line with what we expected given the demographics of the community.
Wow, that is really great to see. So, and I'm really happy to hear that you're having a dedicated, Twitter events or just opportunities for the Chinese communities and the Korean communities to pitch their proposals and stuff. But I wondered, is there a way to bridge the two communities? So, like, it would be great for us to support Chinese and Korean projects more often, and vice versa. I know you have the translation options, but how can we better bridge our kind of worlds, if you like?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a tricky one. Time zones are a factor. Language is a factor. The platforms that we're all living in is a factor. One way is just over time making, I would love to see Pomelo be that sort of town square over time. We've got the Asian community on WeChat, the North American community on Discord and Telegram. Oftentimes they're not talking with each other. But if we can, as the Pomelo team, doing a better job at allowing people to get, signals from Pomelo itself, interact with each other on Pomelo itself, kind of evolving Pomelo almost into a community, public good funding town square. That's one way I see us bridging that gap over time. In the meantime, again, making sure we're inclusive, so inviting the Asian grant owners to our English speaking pitch sessions and vice versa, encouraging the North American grants to go pitch in the WeChat Chinese pitch sessions. We're set up to be able to do that. We got translators there. So, if you're an English speaking person who wants to promote your grant to the Chinese community, you can sign up for our Chinese pitch sessions, present in English, and there'll be someone there to translate to Chinese to the Chinese community and vice versa.
Wow. Where do people sign up for that? That's a great new feature.
Yeah. You can. I would encourage you to check out the on our Medium article. So find us on Medium. It's Pomelo Grants is our account name, and we have a article. I believe it's called "Let the Season 3 Festivities Begin," and that breaks down everything you need to know about Season 3. When do donations open? All the dates basically that you need to worry about. Everything about the NFT. Where you can buy the NFTs and what you can do with them, what the schedule is, and how to sign up for all of our various pitch sessions.
Awesome. So we'll put a link in the description to your Medium blog, and we'll cover it as well on Bywire, of course. Okay, so moving on. So in season 1, the EOS Network Foundation provided you guys with a $500,000 matching grant, and then in season 2, a massive $912,000 matching grant. However, in season 3, that has gone down. We're down to about $350,000. It's still a phenomenally large amount of money. Don't get me wrong, but are you concerned in the reduction of matching pool funds? Is that a confidence issue or is it a financial issue? And what can the projects expect from that reduction? Should we expect 2/3 less in our matching pools per project? What kind of impact is it going to have?
Sure. So I would say it's more of a couple of factors. The price of EOS is a big factor. So the price, when season 1 and season 2, I think price of EOS was about double what it is now. So a big part of it is the matching pool is coming from the ENF, and their budget is denominated in EOS. So when the price of EOS dropped significantly along with the rest of all the tokens and crypto, basically the size of their budget was reduced proportionally. So there's less money to go around. Another factor is I would say the ecosystem has matured around Pomelo too. So when season 1 of Pomelo happened, Pomelo was the only opportunity to get funding in the ecosystem. Since then, now we have the grant framework. Eden is kind of firing a little bit more cylinders too. There's kind of more opportunities coming around. So now, there's other ways to get funding besides Pomelo. So I could see that, there's the primary factor is the price of EOS. B, there's a part of that budget's going to things like the grant framework. C, there's a big opportunity for us as Pomelo to one of our big goals for season 4 is to, diversify our matching pool. We don't want the EOS Network Foundation to be our sole matching partner going forward. We want to have more matching partners participating. So that's going to be a big thing we're focused on for season 4 is how can we grow the matching pool by growing the participants who are providing matching funds. So I have faith that we'll see what happens with the price of EOS. I expect that there's lots of great things happening in the ecosystem, and that hopefully the price of EOS will recover, and that should help. But at the same time, it's going to be up to us to just get more participants. And if you look at Gitcoin, for example, you'll see they're much more mature than we are. I think they just their 14th round recently, and their matching pool is made up with lots of different matching partners, and really it's a small percentage of it is coming from the foundation. I think that's where we want to evolve Pomelo into a state where we're not 100% dependent on the EOS inflation coming from ENF. We've got other means of raising those funds, and growing our Pomelo NFT series is one way of doing that too. So for season, I think from season 1 to season 2, we 5x'd the amount of money we raised, or the amount of EOS we raised through our NFT promo. From season 2 to season 3, the goal is to double it. So we raised 5,000 EOS. That all went to the matching pool in season 2. In season 3, we're raising 10,000 EOS. And hopefully in season 4, we'll continue to grow that.
Nice. That's really, really impressive. It's obviously not enough to replace a matching pool provider, but every penny counts.
Right.
So how long in advance does Pomelo find out from the ENF what a planned matching pool is going to be approximately? I would imagine it probably changes a little bit as you're getting nearer to the time. But is there any systematic approach to this decision making? Obviously, if it's going up, everyone's happy all the time, but that's clearly an impossibility. So is there a methodology to it? And what advice would you give to projects who are planning on using Pomelo to raise money each quarter?
In terms of the strategy of determining, I would say that's more of a question for ENF. It varies. So from season to season, the time that we had a commitment from them varied, and I can't speak to their process for determining what the matching pool amount would be. But to your question on what,
how can projects?
I guess how can project kind of plan for future seasons? Make sure have an idea of the budget they'll be working with, right? I would just say keep in mind that this is a season over season thing. Keeping your scope modular enough that you can adjust based on, if you have a very big ambitious amount things you want to deliver in one season, make sure your deliverables can be broken down into small increments. And if a matching pool ends up being less than what you think could, meet your ultimate goal, draw it back, pick something more small and reasonable for this size of the pool, and plan to raise more next season for the next phase. So, breaking it down into milestones and bite-sized pieces, I think, is the best way to be able to manage a little bit of uncertainty in the size of the matching pool. Because even if it is a giant matching pool, you never know how much you're going to actually raise too. So I think that's important advice, regardless of what the size of the matching pool is. It's good to keep your plan flexible and modular to be able to meet the expectations from what you're able to raise.
Daniel, that's just great advice for any projects in crypto, given the variations in crypto prices. So I think, every project should follow that advice. could you tell us how important Block.one's contribution was to the launch of Pomelo? And do you have, or are Block.one involved in Pomelo today? And do you have any conversations with them still since that first? Because they basically provided you a grant, right, to help you launch Pomelo. So I just wondered, do you have any interactions with them? What's the state of affairs today?
Yeah, I would say it was important. So they were what enabled us to start this work to begin with. I wouldn't say that without them, Pomelo wouldn't happen, but without them, Pomelo would have certainly not had started when it did. We would have had to have waited. We started working on Pomelo well before the ENF was established because we had that grant from Block.one. So the fact that we got a grant to be able to build Pomelo allowed us to get something to market, pretty soon after the ENF now had matching funds available. We still have not gotten any commitment from them one way or another to ever be a matching partner. And we've pretty much given up on pursuing that at this time. The last conversation we had with them was more administrative. So the grant that they did give us was a milestone-based grant. It was broken into 3 milestones. So the last time we spoke with them was just to collect on the final milestone that they had committed to. So they've met the commitment, what they've agreed to paying us for the grant. They've not committed to providing any more development funding. They've not committed to being a matching partner. We're not holding our breath at this time, but I don't want to discount the fact that they did, the funds they did provide us it enabled us to get this started. And it was a big part of what actually led us to the solution we came to too. We had other grant, funding solutions we were designing previously. Part of what had us land on this design was that back and forth with Block.one when we were trying to get that funding. Pomelo was a design that they could give their thumbs up for.
So it was great that Block.one obviously helped Pomelo come into existence. So I just wondered, do you think Block.one still has a place within the EOS community?
It's up to them, I guess. I don't see a lot of engagement from them. The sense I get is that, I don't know. I guess that's really a question for them. I think there's a place in the EOS community for anyone who wants to participate. I just don't get the sense that they want to participate from what I've seen.
That's fair enough. And very nice of you to say. Everyone does have a place here should they want it, and I agree with that. Maybe some deserve it over others, but that's never for us to say. So we touched on this earlier, and I know you're working on it. So when do you think that we can hope to see a significant alternative matching provider for Pomelo aside from the ENF? And how far advanced are those talks?
We're not very far advanced. We have a goal for next season having, I would say, at least a pilot in terms of having our first non-ENF sizable matching partner join the season. I wouldn't expect that it's going to be, they usually like to pilot things in the small, tests, see how it goes. We do have a goal. The goal is to work towards growing that over time, getting more of them. So we may see 1 or 2 additional matching partners in the next season. Fingers crossed if things go well. They'll probably be smaller than what the ENF provides, but it's going to be kind of a proof of concept of what's possible. And a big part of our job with the Pomelo team is sort of making that attractive to matching partners. How can we present an opportunity to them that they want to participate as a matching partner? So part of that is going to be explaining the opportunity more clearly and making Pomelo, designing it in a way that is attractive for matching partners to participate.
What would be the incentive for a matching partner to participate in Pomelo? Obviously, the ENF is a no-brainer. It makes sense for them. But how would someone who doesn't, or who isn't directly involved with the EOS community, or who doesn't benefit from the EOS chain, why would they want to be a matching pool partner?
Yeah, there's a few different ways, a few different benefits I see. One is like you can, as easy as it's a marketing budget. So like, I got a new project, I got a bunch of money, I want to attract a community to participate in my project. I think Pomelo is a great, you got a great group of engaged participants, and you want to get those participants paying attention to your project and maybe contributing to that project. Pomelo is a great place to get that community, and you can do that by making your name known, getting some goodwill within the community by saying, hey, I'm providing you this matching pool. The next thing is actually having a little bit of say over. Right now Pomelo has one matching pool, one matching round, and the rules are essentially set by the ENF as the matching partner, saying, here's the criteria if you want to participate in this pool, you have to be a public good that benefits EOS.io community. In the future, I imagine we would have perhaps, hey, I want to create a DeFi matching pool, for example. And to participate in this pool, you have to be a DeFi project, and doesn't necessarily have to be a public good. Or so as that matching partner, you get to sort of shape the types of participation you get, and again, perhaps leverage. You're funding you're crowdsourcing and funding open source or pretend whatever you decide to help boost your ecosystem. Those are kind of two of the big things. But again, a big part of our exercise over the next few months as we prepare for season 4 is, as a team, really putting some pen to paper and coming up with even more benefits and reasons to participate. But I think those are the two obvious ones. Is you can almost consider it a marketing budget / a influence over how the energy is spent within the EOS community.
Very cool. I mean, DeFi matching pool, non-for-profit. Wow, I never even thought about that. That's a genius idea. I love it. So the future, I mean, it's limitless, the possibilities that Pomelo could evolve into. So wow. So if the ENF then change their mind, let's say, I'm not suspecting they will, but if they didn't provide a matching pool for season 4, would season 4 still go ahead? And that leads me to the next question of how independent or perhaps interdependent is both Pomelo and the ENF?
Yeah, right now we're still very dependent. So now that Block.one is kind of finalize their commitment, we're going to need to continue get funding to continue developing Pomelo, and we also need a matching pool. So we're relying on the ENF support, both as funding the development and as well as providing the matching pool. That being said, again, every season we're becoming more and more independent. Are we fully independent yet? No, we still got a long way to go. If ENF were to pull the plug, I think that's likely. For season 4, would there still be a matching pool? I would hope so. Again, if we're successful in getting our other matching partners, I think we would still want to go ahead with another season. It might be a smaller matching pool, but the goal is that at some point we get to a point where the matching pool that comes from non-ENF is more than what comes from the ENF. We're far from there now. Season 4, the pull the plug would be rough. But hopefully we can get to a place down the road where, again, we're almost completely independent. ENF is one of many sources of funding. But yeah, we're definitely, for season 4, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, that'd be a much safer place for any organization, of course. But realistically, though, I mean, the Ethereum Foundation still funds Gitcoin, right? So I think So how important then do you think it is that the ENF continues to fund projects like Pomelo, really, season after season, regardless of an initial return on investment, given the fact that you guys are a public good? And there are other projects like that, but I mean, you are a die-hard public good. So how important is it to you then that the ENF, funds these kind of projects indefinitely?
Yeah, super important. I mean, we saw what happened the 3 years prior to the ENF joining the ecosystem. Things weren't getting funded. The ecosystem was drying up. Devs were leaving. So I think that continued funding from the ENF is super important especially again as we mature down the road. Perhaps we're going to get to a place where all of these different funding mechanisms like Pomelo, like Eden, like Fractally, perhaps over time we all become fully independent and we're no longer dependent on funding from the ENF. I think we're still a long way from there, though. I think the ENF plays a critical role in the ecosystem, and their continued funding is super important, super critical to the health of the ecosystem.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that, Daniel. So then, thank you so much, by the way. You've given me a huge amount of time, way longer than I had asked for, so I really, really appreciate that. So this is my last question. You'll be pleased to hear. So what is the future then for Mr. Daniel Keys? Where do you see both yourself and EOS in 10 years' time from now?
Still working on delivering the solutions that we joined the EOS in the first place to deliver. We want to bring more independence to all of humanity. That's really why I got involved in the EOS ecosystem, and we'll be doing it in whatever way we, as the ecosystem evolves and matures. We're going to be spending our efforts where we believe we can drive the most value towards that mission. I imagine over time, in the early days, I think EOS was more tribal. A lot of us just spending, EOS is the Ethereum killer, EOS or nothing. We still see a lot of that out there. I see a future that's more collaborative across the various blockchains. I think that different blockchains kind of meet different market needs. I think that they're all important. I think, again, with that value of independence, it's important to have many different independent networks all serving different needs. And what can be better in the future, and what I think we're going to start seeing, and this kind of what's leading us to focus some time on the Graph network, for example, is maintaining the independence of all of these different communities while increasing their ability to collaborate with each other and communicate with each other. So a lot of the work that the ENF is doing, for example, with IBC and within the EOS.io core working group, so bringing all the EOS.io chains more together while maintaining their independence. I'm really excited to taking that to the next level. Once all the EOS.io chains are coordinating with each other and maintaining independence, how do we then start participating in the broader Web3 ecosystem? Start being accepted into the Ethereum world, the Bitcoin world. All of these different ecosystems all have different, they bring different types of value to the table. And I think we can learn from each other and collaborate with each other and take the bits that work. And I imagine in 10 years, we're going to be still working on the same problems, but perhaps our tool belt will be expanded.
What a perfect way to end it. Well, Daniel Keys, ending freedom. Daniel Keys, spreading freedom and ending tyranny. I love it. Thank you so much for your time today, Daniel. It's been a really great interview, our best one yet. And I look forward to welcoming you back, and best of luck with Pomelo Season 3. I'm sure it's going to be a huge success, but we all wish you the best of luck at Bywire. So very best of luck with everything.
Thanks again for having me, Michael. Always happy to be here. Good luck with your grant pros. I already saw you've got a couple awesome ones, so looking forward to see how those do. And yeah, have me back anytime. I'm always happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Daniel. You have a great day. I'll see you next time. Thank you.
See you, Michael.